are at our tree nursery, coastal redwoods, and I also have western red cedar, a native species here, which is great for a long-lived tree in a site that might have a little bit of shade that's not good for Doug fir. Let's see what kind of a root structure development we have. I'm only planting a few trees today. Normally I would shake that off, but the more dirt I can leave on it, the happier it will be in transit. In my tree planting bag, it's the western red cedar. We've got our redwood seedlings here. It's time to plant them out. They've been in the ground for 1 year. I got them as seedlings. They were about 6 inches tall. Now they're a little more than a foot tall, more than doubled in size. So let's see how they developed. So dig them out. This above ground part. So we'll pop that in there next to my cedar. There we go. Nice, another good clump, good form. Looks healthy. Here we go. Good tree planting bag. Got my trees to transplant. Tree planting shovel. We have to prepare the site. In forestry terms, we call it abbreviated to site prep. And this is the tool we're going to use. We're going to buzz like a 4-foot diameter circle and plant into that because there's a lot of brush there. Here we are at the eastern edge of the property. This is almost all alder. We cut out the alder and left the big conifers, as you see. So there's plenty of open sunny space to plant in. That's where our next redwood forest is going to be. Farther up the hill will be our next giant sequoia forest. So we're going to go down the bottom here, plant a few redwoods. Okay, so this is my brush clearing tool. Got a blade that'll chop it all down. Okay, make it easier to find the trees after you plant them. Planting into grass is a little more complicated because you don't want the grass in the hole. So I shake it out. There we go. Good luck, baby. We'll keep an eye on you. You want to get plenty of soil around the roots. The last step is just pack it in. 2-year-old redwood, 1-year-old from the nursery. Then we put it in our own nursery for another year. Got it nice and vigorous, tall, easy to see, better chance of survival. Just will want to come around periodically through the first few years to make sure all this neighboring brush doesn't overtake the tree. I've got a road and I line out my trees about 5-6 feet back from the road and about 12 feet apart from each other. So it'll be a bit of a column along here. And then I use that as my guide to plant back into the woods. When these trees are 20 years old, I have something I call the 20 by 20 rule. By age 20, they can easily be 20 feet apart and completely fill the space. So I'm planting them a little tight here. I'm not planting them as if I'm doing a plantation, which could be as close as 10 feet apart, with the anticipation that I would be thinning them out. Here, these are all specimen trees. I'm willing to wait the extra 5 years for them to fill in the gaps. We'll put the cedars against close to the trees, and then on up here into this cleared out space, that will all be redwood in there, filled out space. And then above this little clearing will be the giant sequoias. And so over the years, you'll have the experience of walking into a beautiful, majestic cedar forest, but then you'll have these big beauty mother trees that will be even much larger and towering above the redwood. Fast forward 10 years, welcome to a brand new redwood forest. These are young trees that we just finally got into to clear the brush out underneath. Eventually, as these trees get much larger, like the 20-year-olds and beyond, there will be less and less in the understory, which is typical for a conifer forest that has shade year-round. These trees will put a much wider, deeper shade. Still pretty airy and open with lots of flowers, and the birds love it at this stage because they can fly through. There's things to eat, places to hide. As it becomes an old-growth forest, a whole different cohort of species move in that like that big tree character, and some of the songbirds and insects, they move out to a more clear area. So now I'm replanting, and sometimes when I replant, I reconsider, should I try a different tree? I'm going to put in western red cedar. Here it is, that nice dirt base. That soft soiling around it. These are cedar trees, and I'm taking the extra step to put a cage around it. And I don't cage the redwoods. These are the prime target of the deer. I haven't noticed the deer browsing my redwood. Most people use a much cheaper, quicker method. They put plastic tubes over the cedar tree. Two reasons I'm not doing that. One is these trees are pretty big already. Two, I don't like to constrain them. I like to give them the room of a 1 foot diameter cage. Once I get these in the cages, I don't really have to do anything. Just leave it for like 5 years and come back when the tree's about this tall, and we just pop the cage right off over the top. Now that we've cleared the brush around the trees, and I notice there's a big wide hole here, excellent sunshine, I think I could put 3 more in here. Because if you swing around the other direction, past the mother cedar, there's a whole nother grove of New England hardwoods. So that was planted about 20 years ago. One there. And let's put a third one. Come back in 2 months, and you might not be able to see this tree. The brush will be up to here. So this is how we find them.